what we're going to talk about today, are just some key things. Some of this is probably going to reinforce things that, Tony has been, sharing with y'all. And I'll say this was great, and I may come for your Friday presentation too as well on retirement 401k. My word of advice is the sooner you start, meaning as soon as you get out of school and get a job, the sooner you start investing in your retirement, the sooner you're going to be able to retire. So keep that in mind. But we'll go through things like value of internships, finding, internships, some interview, things, success factors. I want to go through some example expectations of what may be given to you when you go into your internship. So that when you start your internship, if you don't actually see these, you've got some things in mind for questions that you want to ask and make sure that you're kind of level setting with your employer. I want to, we'll walk through what I call sailing to a successful internship as well. I've got some articles and some things that you guys can look at afterwards, and questions and answers. We'll take some at the end, but it's like, if you've got a question while I'm going through something, just,
And just
flag me down.
as a preference or just a pre-header of what he's going to talk about. He's a consultant. He's actually been where you're trying to end up, whether it's with Blue Cross Blue Shield or PSNC or any of these big companies, Capgemini, he's been there. And now he's consulting and trying to actually help you understand how to get your foot in the door, how to do these different things. So he's here to help you, and he still works with all the technology companies that he's in the Columbia area, and he might be able to tell you where those positions are laid. Okay.
Connections. You can hear a lot about connections and networking as we talk today. So the only thing I think I'll add on here from what Palmer added is I've got a yellow block on there too. So I'm currently also doing, I just don't have this part posted on LinkedIn. I'm also working part-time as a vice president, which is a nice gig when you can get it, at another technology firm here in Columbia. I'm not exactly representing them today, but just know that, that's another place to keep in mind. So that's Yovant. We don't have planned, at least not right now, to hire any interns for summer, but it may be something we do in the fall. So we will keep you posted on that as well too. So, and it's the firms that I've worked with, CSC, TQ, Capgemini, Yovant, all work within a specific kind of niche, which is insurance technology. But again, the things that are your core functions, whether it be working within people, helping people drive through careers, and the technology that you all are working, that you're working through in your degree program, any kind of organization has that, whether we're insurance technology, whether it's banking, whether it's pharmaceuticals or whatever, there is a need for a skill that you guys are bringing, out as you come out of school.
And when I met with some of you one-on-one, I talked about sectors. I said, the Columbia area is an insurance sector.
Yes.
And so the insurance technology, even Capgemini, they do have a technology sector and finance sector, but they also acquired an insurance sector to actually compete against Blue Cross and all these other companies that are insurance technology companies. So, and I brought this up, even Duck Creek, that's not up there, but
Right.
There's
Exactly.
tons of them. Okay.
Yeah, because the talent grew here when we talked about PMSC and that big building that was off I-77. The talent that grew here became a way for people in this industry. So firms will locate here or firms will hire here. So if you can get connected into that, there were times that we felt like we were on the merry-go-round as far as like people moving around from company to company. But when you can learn, sort of a niche or a sector, that gives you more, as far as employability. It just gives you another leg up. So, all right, so that's kind of enough about me. I've got the pins located on the map. I'm from South Carolina. You can probably tell from my accent, have lived here my entire life, grew up here, went to school here, and have lived in Columbia. I've lived in Columbia longer than anywhere else now. So that's because I'm old, or vintage, as I like to call it. So, all right, so just a couple of slides here. Palmer did a great job of extracting, and I've got a link at the back of the slides to a QR code if you look at more of the company, what we do. Basically, it's all about people. So the things I've learned through my career are people and process that you can apply to anything. So that is basically what I will go in and help an organization with. So we put a lot of fancy words on our websites and things, but basically if the company wants to know who is the strategic talent in their firm, Or if you want to know, how do I, improve engagement? Or how do I put performance management, which is kind of the same thing as, like your grades that you get when you're in the industry, you're going to go do performance management, you're going to get rating, you're going to get coached. Those are things that I work with companies to help build or implement. Yes, sir.
Where's the name Matson Madrid?
The name Matson Madrid is two street names. Matson is the street I grew up on as a kid, and Madrid is the street that my wife grew up on as a kid. We grew up in two different towns in South Carolina, but I found like Bob Adams Consulting just sounded really boring. So that was a good question. So I have gotten people to Google from Spain because they see Madrid and consulting and they think we're a Spanish company. But alas, we're not. So all right, so values of internships, and I'll try to make sure I watch time because I have a tendency I can ramble a bit. So these are 7 core things that, I think sometimes, when we think about an internship, we think about experience and we think about getting paid. But we want to make sure that, that you talk about, like when Tony talks about the entire package. These are things that you may also want to consider when you are looking at, let's say you're trying to decide which ones you want to apply for. And you might do like a shotgun approach. You may apply for a bunch of them, and then maybe you get interviews, maybe you get offers. But when you're thinking about what it is you want to do, these are some things to think about. First and foremost is you're getting practical experience. Obviously, that's the key thing that everybody thinks about with an internship. They're like, I want to get something in my field that I can apply, when I put it on my resume. So you're going to get practical experience. You can call that experiential learning. So it's that combination of you're doing work, but you're also learning something new while you're doing the internship. So that's first and foremost the number one value. That's the one that you probably, if you're thinking of this internship versus just a summer job or just a part-time job, that's the differentiator there. Now, some things to think about is compensation is not just dollars. And there are internships that you may encounter, Tony. I think all the ones that you normally place them in, they're paid, correct? But there are also what we call unpaid internships that are out there. Generally, you're going to be looking at, if it's an unpaid internship, what you should be hoping for is that it's either going to be give you something that's a course credit offset. So some colleges will do that where they'll say, I've got a particular class, and you actually do an internship to meet the credentials of the class. So you're getting 3 hours of credit work there. That is one thing that you can do from an offset. If you are also doing an quote unpaid internship, meaning that there's no paycheck and no compensation from that perspective, you should also expect that you're going to be getting more learning and training out of that internship than maybe you would with a pure, one that you're getting paid for. So that's another consideration for you to think about. You also want to think about, what's the commitment if the organization is not paying me? Where's kind of my safety net? Are they working through the school? I have actually employed 2 interns last fall and last summer that were actually unpaid, but it was through a program at Wofford, where Wofford actually runs the program, and they say, no, you're not going to pay these interns because it's a very low number of hours that they're actually, there. And it is for course credit that they do. So they're like, no, don't pay the interns, but there's that safety net of a program that goes around it. So I, as an employer, worked with that partner program as well as the intern as well too. So, there's no expectation of pay there. I would just be, just keep in mind, it's like, if you're going to go out there and be a unpaid intern, make sure that it's not just like in volunteer mode. Make sure that you still get the same other pieces of a internship that we're going to talk about. Network building, connections there. So you want to make sure that you're building your networks with the people that you meet at the internship. That'll be the people you work for, the people that you work with. And it can also be if you're serving clients in some way, or you've got external parties that you're interacting with. Those are all people that you can put into your network. So that's one of the things that you want to, think about when you're going into your internship, as opposed to if you were just going to work in isolation and maybe only work with one person, you may build that relationship with that one person. But if you're also going to be in a situation where you get to interact with more people, again, it's a way to expand your network and build from there. all of these aspects are gonna look at how they enhance your future employability. I know y'all are probably hearing that, but it is true that, that if you've got internships on your resume, it does increase, when people are scanning your resume or people are doing the interview with you, it's gonna help you, and I'll jump to one that says, first of all, build confidence. It's gonna, help you with that because you've been in the workforce. You've done some of the work that they're asking you to do when you go to that full-time job. But, it's gonna also help you with building and developing those professional and office skills. And some of the things that Tony, you had on that sheet, like the toolbox, the etiquette dinners, those are things that you're getting to take advantage of here while you're in school too. I definitely encourage you to take advantage of those. Because those are things that'll help you in the internship, but they're also things that are gonna help you obviously in the long run. But, stats will tell you if you've done the internships, because what that tells me as an employer is like, okay, this candidate has already done some of this work. There's a little bit less that I may have to do, or, when they first come in, to my organization. I still should expect if I'm hiring somebody straight out of college, that there's gonna be a lot of investment, time, training that I have to do. But I know that if somebody has done an internship, then they've gotten some of that out of the way. If I know the firm they've done done their internship with, that's even better. And if it's also like, if it was an organization that I was hiring for, we used to call that conversion too, where we could take, like, you can work as an intern, but then we know you're going to graduate in a year. If you've already worked for us and it was a successful kind of trial period, then that gives you a leg up in getting that position, with that firm long term. So just, we've probably gone for an hour about the employability aspect of this. Exploring career paths. So how many people in here know exactly what you want to do for the next 40 years after you leave Carolina? You do. Okay, so good. So you know exactly what you want. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. So what is it that you know exactly you want to do?
Technology.
Okay. Do you know if you want to do it like in a large firm or a small firm or?
Probably large start, so I can get, kind of get the reputation on my resume, and then possibly move to a smaller firm. Maybe.
Yep.
But focus more on technology.
Okay.
But we have TM Boyd coming in, we have Deloitte coming in, all of those are same
Yeah.
kind of same. So those are exactly.
Yeah.
consulting.
And so the good thing for you is if you can get if you can get an internship in that type of field, here's what it will tell you. It'll tell you, am I a match for this? Do I really like it? Will I thrive in this environment? And it could be that it's like you say, yeah, I want to do that, but I don't want to do it with that particular firm. One of the best things that you get during the internship is because it is that defined period. It's like you get to go in there and it's like you're not committing to say, oh, I'm going to work for this place for years. You get to go in there and you get to see what it is you like about, whether it be that career path. And we're going to talk a little bit later about also understanding the ways of work, how things work in an organization. So that's, again, a key takeaway for us. Some things that hopefully from finding an internship opportunity, I'm sure some of these things are going to be familiar to y'all as well. So we'll kind of run through those quickly. You got traditional routes, you got your career fairs. Does Carolina still do an internship only fair like they used to? I know they used to have one that was, okay. They do a part-time, okay. So any of those kind of recruiting events, even if it's nothing more than, again, you get the experience, get your name out there or whatever. You've got your classroom and instructor, connections. So not just, I should be calling you Mr. Dillon, not running, but all of your instructors may have connections as well. And all of the speakers that are coming through here, your career center, you've got your online job searches. I put two example career hubs up here if you are looking within South Carolina. Because these, you may or may not think to look at these, because these are, you may think of these like, oh, that's my full-time job opportunities. SC Works, SC Careers, both of those have internships out there. So you can go through, but you can search, you can see what, where you get to those. And we are going to get y'all the slides after, so you'll get a PDF of the slides as well too. Networking, I keep, enforcing that. I know y'all are doing some stuff with LinkedIn. Everybody you know can be in your network. So just consider that, can be somebody that you went to high school with, somebody that you know, are in classes with now, professors, families, friends. That's all your network. Everybody out there, because they may know, just let them know that, hey, I'm looking for an internship. What do you know of any? What company do you work for? All of those things. So again, use LinkedIn, follow and connect, I think with all the speakers as we come through, just connect with us. I've got my card. If anybody wants to take it, even if you just want to use it as a bookmark, then you can do that. And then I put get creative. There's an article at the back of these slides, QR codes. This is one thing I want to throw out to y'all as an idea that I've seen people do it. I've heard people talk about it, which is creating your own internship. So if you think about it, like you may say, I want to go work with X firm. Maybe they don't advertise that they've got an internship. But if you know that there's some value you can bring to that firm, you can make a pitch to them. And that may be one of these where you make an agreement and you say, look, I'm going to do, like you said, okay, you may want to do technology consulting. It may be that right now, you might come in and say, I want to consult, with you, and I'll kind of go through this whole process and I'll deliver something to you at the end of the summer, or I'll work with you and do this project or this deliverable. It takes a lot to, to kind of get there. And I can tell you, when I was in your shoes, that would have been the farthest thing from my mind to say that I would have gone out and done that. That just wasn't in my personality whatsoever. But it's just something to think about. If you want to try it, think about it, give it a shot. So the article's got more detail in it about how you would do that, how you kind of put together a value proposition. But, let's say if your ideal job is out there, but they're not, or your ideal firm is out there and they haven't advertised something, see if you can make them an offer, make it, again, that's where your connections come in, because it may be kind of hard to do a cold call with somebody. These are what I just listed as some success factors. These are slides I've used with interns before. So these are just kind of behaviors and things that you want to keep in mind as you are walking in to that internship. Every firm may or may not have this kind of, I'll call it kind of, guidance when you come in. The second internship I did, when I was in college, the first few weeks were just like, I was left alone, and it was like, I didn't even have a desk, because, to work at it was kind of like had a chair in the corner. And the person that was supposed to be managing me didn't have like, any kind of structure whatsoever to it. So as the summer went on, we got things rolling. But these are things that you can keep in mind that you may want to think about how do you behave and perform in the internship. So these are the things that would be success factors. Again, you're getting real work experience. Do you want to demonstrate growth and learning as well in there? So when you walk in on day one, you want to be able to demonstrate by the end of the summer or whatever your internship is that you've learned something. They may even have you do a project. And then just good work, ethic things, communicating properly, on time, being prepared for meetings. Any of those things, you just want to make sure you're always putting your best foot forward out there. So I'm not going to, as we call it, drain the slide and read all those to you. These are some example expectations. There's 2 pages of this. These are the things that I said you may want to just kind of keep in the back of your head and say, okay, if they don't tell you these things during what we call onboarding, when you're starting work at the internship, then you may want to make sure that you're going to ask these questions. So like, how often will I meet or talk to my supervisor or manager? What are your expectations on communication? So like, should I, if you're physically in the same office, communication can be in person. Do you want me to just show up at your desk? Do you want me to show up at your door? If it is virtual, are we looking at emails, phone calls, text messages? What works? Those are things that you just want to like get. It's kind of like the things that sometimes they will assume you would know these things. You're not going to always know these things, and you may not be in alignment. So you want to make sure that you are in sync with those. And how are you going to track progress? What's the time period that you're looking at as well, and how many hours a week? So this was like an example from my Wofford interns. They were capped at 5 hours a week. And then these are just some takeaways as well too, like social media. The firm may want to do some stuff with you on LinkedIn and post things. A lot of companies will see that in summer, but they may want to make sure that you're very cautious or that you're mindful of what you post on LinkedIn or whatever. So like if, you know, like they definitely don't want you to go out there and post, gosh, this was the worst experience I ever had. You know, I mean, there's, you know, a lot of reasons for that, but it's like they would want to know if you were feeling that way. So, and then how you close out the criteria. The cruise acronym, these are just 6 things that I said, and I kind of, there'll be a couple of these that I'm going to kind of repeat. But while you're in your internship, you want to be curious, ask questions, learn. This is, you know, this is that opportunity, ideally, that you're getting paid, you're learning, you're getting exposure to something new. So that's the curiosity factor. Be real, be your authentic self. When you're there, you know, they want to get to know the real person that you are. So yes, we all have to be professional, behave in a certain way while we're in the office, but also, you know, let them see who you really are, what your particular interests are, because you might say, hey, I'm really interested in data or working in a particular sector. If they know that, they may be able to tailor some activities for you as well, some additional things. I talked about workplace likes, understanding those. Do you want to work in an office? Do you want to work in a large office? Do you want to work in a job that is hybrid or remote? You will experience, as you work in these, as your internship, this gives you that opportunity to experience those things. And there are remote internships. I don't know how many, Tony, how many would you say are any of the ones you do? Are they remote, hybrid, or are they all?
All of them. So,
So there's a
and they
mix.
work 40 hours a week or more. So I make them do 400 hours in the internship.
Okay, so 10 weeks.
Yep.
All right. I have a mantra called interview daily. When you're an intern, I think probably even when you're in a full-time job, you are interviewing daily to keep your job. So you want to have that mindset of, I'm always going to be, you know, in that interview mode, you know, producing, sharing, showing the best of what you can do. You know, it's just, if you kind of keep that in mind, but especially during an internship, you're trying to interview for either another job later down the road. So you want to think about, how am I best impressing people? You get to see the academics in progress, and then I call it the 3 E's that you're going to exhibit, which is energy, eagerness, enthusiasm. Nobody wants to work with an intern who comes in and just goes, here I am. You know, it's like, they want to see, you know, somebody who's engaged, is eager to learn, eager to do the work, even if it's, you know, can be somewhat mundane at times. I don't think you're going to find anybody though that's getting interns that really are doing nothing but getting coffee for people. You know, it's, yes, you know, you might have to run an errand or something from time to time, but that's pretty rare. I think these days I think that's a time gone by. So, all right. Questions. I tried to leave time because I don't. So what questions do you guys have? Because I really would like to make sure I'm kind of filling the gaps of what you want to know as opposed to what I thought you wanted to hear. So, yes, sir.
So you mentioned about going to companies that don't have internships posted
Mhm.
and the difficulties of potential cold calls. How
Yeah.
would you suggest the best way to start a process of going to companies that may not have internships posted to
Yeah.
get more potential opportunities?
I would say if you, and I kind of think about it, because it's the same way as if I'm gonna try to go approach somebody to try to sell my services. Like if I know, like Tony mentions to me, like he said, oh yeah, here's this firm, you know, that's coming in to speak. What I would do is, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit of research, which I'm assuming you would have already done because you said that's why I want to go do maybe an internship there. Maybe they do a particular type of work that you're just fascinated with. You can try to reach out, find somebody that you know, because that's where LinkedIn will also help you. If you look at their website, and like when you look at anybody on LinkedIn, you can see who is connected to me. So you want to find maybe somebody that's connected, somebody that can help you get your foot in the door. You know, that's one way. You can always do the emails, you can do phone calls. I remember when we were in a physical office downtown, when I was working with TQ, there was just one day, there was a young lady that she just walked in with a hard copy of her resume and just walked into our office and introduced herself to us, which was, you know, it's kind of a really, really old school approach to coming in contact with somebody. So we were just super impressed that anybody would do that. So yes, we interviewed her and hired her. Not just immediately because she walked in the door, but that was her way. That is something I still remember about Megan to this day. Was the first time we met her. So you could try that. You can, like I said, try to find somebody that you can connect them through.
So some of the things that I've talked to some of you already, but not as a class, you can do informational interviews. And that means like you're just call the secretary, call the HR and say, what opportunities do you have available? Or do you have part-time, internships, full-time? And you sort of pick their brain and find out about them. You can also do the research like you were saying, where you actually like what we have you do for each company that's coming in as guest speakers, you can research that. But some of you I've told, if you see a full-time opportunity, that's a door that's open already. Now you have to craft your cover letter to say, I see that you have an opportunity. I'd like to come in and prove myself as through an internship. And then that way you can see if you like the culture and the environment where you can actually maybe for the next 2 or 3 months, see if you like it. And you would, if you prove yourself, then you can actually take that full-time job. So you're just saying, I'm going to do my work. If I like it, I see there's an opening, I'd like to have that job as a full-time opportunity to get in. And so all of a sudden you could do that. Now there's others in here that say, I want to go after Google. I want to go after all these big companies. They may not be in here. I do have them come in occasionally. But if you say, I want to go there, then it's an inquiry. You just inquire and say, hey, I'd like to do this. But you have to entice them enough to call you back. Because how many other thousands of people are doing the same thing? So that's the other thing. How do you stand out?
Yeah.
And some people, it's really odd, and I don't know, sometimes it's like, how far can you throw a golf club? Like what? And it's like, well, the person that's reading it might be a golfer, and it's like, I can throw a golf club 100 feet or 100 yards, and because I'm mad, and like, just out of the blue, something stupid, but it's like it caught their attention, like. But it's just one of those things that I've heard people do because it's like, it's out of the blue, like, why would we even talk about golf clubs and a technology interview? Like, it's just something like that. But you never know.
And it's a way to get, it's a way to get a hook. And
It's a hook.
something you mentioned too was like, you talked about the informational interview. One thing is like, if you find these firms, like maybe they're not hiring, but if you can find them, especially founders, entrepreneurs, they love to talk about their business. They, and I'll say we love to talk about what we do.
Right.
So it's like, if you go in with that approach of, I want to hear more about your business, as opposed to just walking in and saying, I want to be your intern. But it's like, you can say, I want to learn more about your business, what you do, because I find it fascinating. Could we do coffee? Can I come spend some time at the office or whatever, because that also is another way that they not feel like they're put on the spot, and they're not just gonna say, oh, just go talk to my my HR person or whatever. So, but you got, it's whatever also becomes comfortable for you. Like my approach to trying to sell my services is different than my boss in my part-time gig at Yovan. He was a professional salesperson and entrepreneur, so his approach is completely different than mine. Good question. Hopefully I answered some of it.
Any other questions? He's here to just provide guidance.
Yes.
He's here to actually be a consultant to you. I'm sure he's met a lot of other companies, like, do you have any recommendations right now that they should be applying to certain companies? Is there any startups or anyone that you say, hey, this is something that's happening?
So one thing you may want to do about the startups is like, is look at the places where the startups are. So if you look up what's called GrowCo, and I probably should put this on, but it's just the words grow and then CO, GrowCo. That is down at 5 Points. That's an incubator. It's at the Boyd Innovation Center. That's a place to connect with because it is kind of tailored around technology. So that would be a place to start. Another place that you may find as far as smaller firms and startups is going to be in the shared workspaces, like SoCo. There's SoCo, and I cannot remember the name of the one. What's the name of that one in the Optus building? Do you remember? I don't know, it's like Elevate or something, but that's places where you may find, smaller firms as well. But that might be where you can also go and meet folks. And if you look for any of these network events, like Groco, I know does they do like a coffee. We used to do it in the morning. Thank goodness they don't do that at 8 o'clock
They
anymore.
used to be
It's like-
Tech at 5.
Yeah, there's one at, now there's like on the third Thursdays, they do like a social. There's one they're doing a lunch on like the last Friday of the month or whatever. So look at those kinds of things as well as ways to network. That would be kind of to hit the startup community. Once you can get in with some of those folks, and what I can do is I'll take that away to see if I can, get some more information and send back through Tony through you for that, because I think that definitely if you do the things through Groco, that would be a good one. And I'm wondering if there would be a way to even like with Greg Hilton at SoCo to maybe somehow get a connection there.
Sure.
So,
Well, I appreciate it, Bob.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
thank you.